It's the return of the Rocky Mountain Kickoff, a high school football doubleheader played inside the USU Football Stadium on Friday, August 25th. The 6 p.m. game has Ridgeline versus Stansbury. The second game is Mountain Crest versus Pocatello. Tickets are $8 and on sale now at the USU ticket office. Then be there for the Fit Entertainment After Party on the South Concourse, featuring a DJ, food trucks, the 4-time world champion fire knife thrower, and a mechanical bull. Friday, August 25th at the USU Football Stadium.
The Above and Beyond Salute.
Hi, this is Steve.
Yeah, good morning, Steve. Listener contacted us and said, I got to tell you a little bit about Steve Evans. They noted how you travel out of the valley oftentimes to visit patients, and that several times that you have stopped to help those who have been involved in car accidents. And so we wanted to tell you thank you for what you do in our community by giving you a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs.
Well, that is awesome. I don't feel like I do anything that anybody else wouldn't do, but thank you.
The Above and Beyond Salute on News Talk KVNU.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. If that makes sense.
Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning. We welcome you to the show on a cloudy Saturday morning as we're looking forward to maybe seeing a little bit of moisture headed our way for this weekend. It's Will Feel Right along with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden for the Garden Guide on this Saturday morning. And yeah, Mark, it looks like we could see a little bit of rain, but I think as we would all say, don't say that summer's over yet. We've still got a little bit of summer coming.
We have a lot of summer still coming, but never hurts to get a little bit of extra moisture that
nice.
comes unexpected, so we'll take it. Yeah, kind of nice. And cooler temperatures for the next few days, too.
You know, we were talking last week about the rain that we had the prior week, and it's amazing what just a little bit of rain does to your lawn. It greens it right up again, and now I got to mow it again. First time this year I'm going to have to mow my lawn 2 weeks in a row.
It's terrible that we have to get out there and mow, but it does really make a difference. And you know, with the temperatures cooling down, we're kind of getting close to Labor Day. School starts next week.
Yeah, it's next week.
That's kind of crazy, but it's a great time to fertilize the lawn and also to start thinking about controlling weeds. So the weeds have been horrific this year, and it seems like every day I've got people coming in saying, I've got more weeds this year than I've had for the last 10 years total. And it's like, well, yeah. It's like that nice wet winter and the nice wet spring, and then we had all that rain in June, and all the weeds have just kind of popped up and gone crazy. So it's an excellent time to really start thinking about rejuvenating the lawn. We have not had as hard and stressful of a summer for the lawns this year, so it's been nice after last year was really a hard year for the turf. And so great time to put a little fertilizer on right now, kind of perk the lawn back up. Great time to go after the weeds. So I would recommend our weed-free zone would be excellent to get after the weeds. Morning glory, thistle, mallow, clover, dandelions, all the hard-to-kill weeds. It'll take care of all of those with just one application. And then it's also time to put your next insecticide on for sod webworms. So sod webworms are going to be showing up here really soon. Life cycle is a little slow on the sod webworms this year, so middle to the end of August is kind of our target time for getting those under control. So Bug Blaster Plus would be great. A little bit of grub-free zone would be excellent. There's a lot of different options you can use, but if you put those insecticides on right now, you're going to get 2 to 3 months of control out of it. So you get all of August, all of September, and all of October control, and that should keep you looking good for the rest of the year. So not too bad.
And meanwhile, in the garden, I know some bacteria is still one of the big problems we're dealing with all the moisture we had earlier
just a little
on.
bit of disease.
Yeah, so powdery mildew. Still
Mildews.
getting a lot of people asking about powdery mildew for their squash plants.
Yeah, with the high humidity right now, so mildew's showing up like crazy on squashes and pumpkins. Starting to see it in melons and cucumbers as well too. Want to get that under control before it really starts to spread. We're seeing it in maples. We're seeing it on 9-barks. Haven't seen any on like burning bush, but that's a possibility as well too. So yeah, a lot of diseases showing up, and we want to get those under control as this kind of humid, more moist weather kind of hits for the next week or so. We want to stay on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah, good time to stay on top of that. But a lot of good things happening at Anderson Seed and Garden. So our cash sale continues this weekend. So the cash sale, everything in our nursery, trees and shrubs and perennials. And we've even got some nice evergreens and some vines. They are 25% off. And if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% off on top of that. So with the cash sale, make sure and bring cash. If you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% on top of the current discount that we've got going right now, which is 25% off. And there are some really, really nice trees left. There's some gorgeous shrubs. Just got some new shrubs in from Oregon, believe it or not. We got some nice burning bush, and we got a few hibiscus and just a few things that we were kind of running out of already. But the nursery's looking great. Plants are looking really, really good. And you can get that extra 10% if you pay with cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Working on the calendar for next year already. If
Are
can
you
believe
really?
it. Yeah, we've started the 2024 calendar, and so we're working on that. And we are looking for photos as usual. So looking for good photos to put into our calendar. Seems like every year we kind of look for some fall and some Christmas and some spring pictures. Seems like we get tons and tons of really amazing summertime photos that we can use. But some of those other months, we're always looking for something for winter to put in there. So
we just don't get out as much as we normally do in the summer.
Not out taking photos. Everybody's like taking tons of photos outside right now, and usually in the calendar we're looking for anything in Cache Valley, whether it's insects or fruits or flowers or just beautiful scenery, anything in Cache Valley or the surrounding area. So we've had some gorgeous stuff sent in from southern Idaho, from Bear Lake, and even from Intermountain West over on the other side of the mountain. Anything that's like nearby. We like local stuff, obviously, but we consider all those areas local as well too. Okay. So that's good. But yeah, it's hard to believe we're working on the calendar for next year already. Yeah,
it'll be here before we know it. I mean, here it is. This summer just flew by.
It did.
And as much as my kids hate to think about it, school starts this Wednesday for them.
This week. Yeah, school's starting up. So that means we're pretty much done with compost tea as well too. So I think we've got a little bit to maybe make it through the day today, or at least through the morning. So we're just down to the last drops of our compost tea for this year. So this will be last weekend for compost tea. So try and take advantage of that if you still need one more batch.
Okay.
We're brewing. I stopped in the store quick this morning, and we had 2 tanks that were full and a little bit of concentrate left over to make a little bit more if we needed to. But we're getting down to the bottom. Yeah, we're getting down to the bottom of the compost tea. But it is the 19th of August, so
yeah,
we made it from the end of April all the way to the 19th of August with our concentrates. That's not too bad. That's a full 4 months of compost tea. Can't beat that, especially when you're getting free refills all summer long. Yeah, doesn't get better than that.
And boy, when it comes to just a great shot in the arm for your hanging baskets, we put it on our tomatoes and raspberries. Incredible.
Yeah. The compost tea just makes them go like crazy. And we have noticed this week, though, a little bit of tobacco budworm getting into the petunias and the geraniums. And so we treat about every 2 weeks on Center Street and on Main Street as well, too. So we've been able to stay on top of them this year, but it looks like we've got a couple baskets, actually a couple planters that budworms have been nibbling on. You can tell they look great. The plants look amazing, and the flowers are starting to disappear on them. And so they will eat the flower buds before the blossoms open up. So we'll have to do another little application. We found that over the years, the systemic insecticides are not as effective on the tobacco budworms because the insecticide that's in there is nicotine based. And so being tobacco eaters, the nicotine doesn't bother them, and so they're resistant to a lot of the systemic insecticides because they're all made from nicotine. Yeah, right now. And so you've got to go to a different combination to really get good control on the tobacco budworms, because imidacloprid, that nicotine-based insecticide, does not work well on them. So we've had great results with Sayonara. We've been using some spinosad as well too. So we've got a natural bacteria that kills the caterpillars. That's awesome. Does a really great job, and it's safe on all your beneficial insects. Won't bother your bees, and very effective. But it seems like those tobacco budworms, no matter how persistent you are, they seem to sneak in just a little bit every year.
Okay.
Yep, darn their hides.
Well, if you have a question for Mark this morning, the phone lines are open at 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. We can talk about taking care of the diseases in your garden, how to be able to green up your lawn, control those weeds. I wish we had the perfect secret for controlling morning glory, but it seems like as I was out looking on, we have a rock flower garden that kind of steps up, and we put a lot of rhubarb up in there, and the morning glory, it'll just even take over those rhubarb plants.
It's very aggressive.
It is.
There are some pre-emergents that will stop the seed of the morning glory, so you don't have it germinating and coming back. And so you could use either the vegetable and ornamental weeder from Monterey. That's a really great product. You can use Weed Impede also from Monterey if you can get some. It was off the market a little bit this year because of availability of the product, but I think they'll be back again next year. So that's a really great product. Lasts for 6 to 8 months. So you do one application in like April, it'll last until October. And that stuff is absolutely amazing at stopping those seeds from coming up. But I've had some really great results with the Decimate. So Decimate from Fertilome, I had some puncture vine and some burr buttercup and morning glory and a couple other weeds that were just kind of invading one section of my garden. And it's just kind of on the northwest side of my garden. And it had kind of been creeping in last year. And then this year, with all the rain that we've had, of course, the weeds have gone crazy. And so a couple of weeks ago, I went out there with the Decimate, and I put a little bit of a surfactant in with the Decimate as well too, so some spreader sticker to help it be a little bit more effective, and it just killed everything that I sprayed it on. I was really careful to stay away from my tomatoes and my peppers, which are right in that same area. So I was very strategic where I sprayed when there was no wind. I was like super careful, kept the nozzle really low to the ground, just sprayed it on the weeds that I wanted to kill.
Knocked them down.
Knocked them out like crazy. And then if you can put a pre-emergent down after that, then you won't have them coming back.
Okay.
Yeah. But burr buttercup, the puncture vine, really hard to control those dumb things. There was some mallow, there was morning glory, and some pigweed as well too. So a couple different weeds that just had snuck in there, and they were aggressive enough. I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to get them with the hoe, well enough, and so I used the Decimate, and just took them right out. So really good, really good option, especially where you're in around plants that you don't want to damage. Because if you spray it on those other plants, it'll kill those too. Yeah, so you have to be like super careful. But a lot of times I'll take a big piece of cardboard and just cut a handle in it, and I can put it between the stuff that I want to kill and the stuff that I want to keep. And you can spray right up to the cardboard. It keeps it from drifting over onto the other plants. And you can be very strategic and very surgical that way and just hit the weeds that you want to kill and not damage your other plants.
All right.
Yeah, the Decimate does an awesome job on it. So yeah, really
great
good.
way to take care of morning glory if you've got morning glory. It's creeping into some of your flower gardens like we do. The other thing we've got to talk about, and then we're going to sound like a broken record again, Mark, but grasshoppers.
Still going.
And they're getting bigger. And, I was up on a trail on just below Saddleback yesterday afternoon, right above the Logan City water tanks.
Right.
And hundreds of them.
If not thousands.
Yeah,
thousands. Have had really good results controlling them in my garden, so they've been great. But there's bigger ones that are flying in now, so I'm seeing a lot of bigger ones. They're munching on my corn a little bit, and I'm like, do I really want to spray? So I got out there yesterday, and I was inspecting the corn. Kind of needed to be watered. It's like shoulder height right now, and it's just starting to put tassels out. And I was looking at it, and the bees were just buzzing through there, and I'm like, nope, I'm not going to spray. Nope. It's gonna get rid of the grasshoppers, but it's going to bug my bees as well too, because they're just, as the tassels are coming out, they're starting to drop pollen like crazy, and I just don't want to bother those bees because it was absolutely loaded with bees. But the grasshoppers are still very, very active. So if you're in that situation that I am, where you've got a lot of pollen out there and you don't want to affect your bees, the Mosquito Go repellent really, really does a great job. So I'll be using some repellent out in the garden tonight to try and get those grasshoppers to move over to the neighbor's house instead. So very good. Otherwise, if the bees weren't out, I probably would have sprayed either the Sayonara or 7, or really the Bug Blaster from High Yield is amazing because you can use that around your garden and get those grasshoppers before they're coming into your yard. Very, very effective. I would say I've only had to spray twice this summer because I've sprayed with the Bug Blaster, and then I've put I put the repellent down.
Yeah.
So I use the repellent afterwards, and it really gives me an extra 2 or 3 weeks before the grasshoppers start coming back in. Yeah, so I've been able to spray just pretty much once a month. So I'm back to the once a month because we did about mid-June, then I did about mid-July, and here we are mid-August. Yeah. It's like time to hit them again. But they're not as bad as they were. There's not like the volume of grasshoppers. It's just they're bigger, and so they're eating a lot more stuff. So I gotta get on top of those guys again. So
well, and on top of that, I've heard several from Utah State Extensions predicting that with as many grasshoppers as we have this year, they are not going to be dying off in the winter. Especially if we have a mild winter, we could be seeing this pattern for a couple years.
Yeah, a couple years. So we'll be prepared for it next year. And if we can get the Nolo bait back in stock, we can really make a dent in their population, because that'll prevent them from reproducing as well too. If they consume the bait, if it doesn't kill them, stops them from reproducing, and it makes them much more lethargic, so they don't bother your plants as much. But the Nolo bait not available this year, but we have our fingers crossed.
For next year,
there should be lots of Nolo bait. We're gonna need a bunch of it to stay on top of it. But yeah, the grasshoppers have been bad. So for your go-to insecticides, we're looking at Bug Blaster from Fertilome, or like the 38 plus or indoor-outdoor permethrin is excellent for the grasshoppers and for mosquitoes. I got munched by mosquitoes last night. We went down and walked on the trail down by the golf course, and as the sun went down, it's like mosquitoes came out. It's like, dang, there were no mosquitoes like 10 minutes ago, and now they're like everywhere. So that works great on the mosquitoes as well too. Otherwise, in your edibles, we're doing 7 and the Sayonara. Been very, very effective. And if you want to repel anything with the cedar oil, does a great job repelling the grasshoppers and preventing them from coming back into your yard. So phone lines are open, 753-5868, 753 KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. We'd love to have you join us here on the Garden Guide, and we'll try and get your questions answered. But we have a couple callers waiting.
We do. So let's start answering some calls. We've got Catherine first on the line from Dayton. Catherine, welcome to the Garden Guide this morning.
Good morning. I have a question about I need to get rid of my morning glory, but I also have clover that I don't want to get rid of. The morning glory is in my lawn. Is there something that will get rid of the morning glory without killing my clover?
They're both broadleaf weeds, and so it's going to kill both of them indiscriminately, unfortunately. So you could just spray spot spray for where the morning glory is, instead of doing it over the entire yard, and that would be better. So mix up like a little bit in a tank sprayer and go and spot treat your morning glory, and as long as you don't spray it on the clover, it won't bother it. So you can be a little bit more strategic on how you apply that, but it will kill everything that's a broadleaf, including flowers and shrubs and trees and vegetables. So you got to be super careful with that, especially when we have hot temperatures. But I'm looking at the forecast, and it looks like we've got 80s for the next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah,
which is just
great time to spray it.
Yeah, it's like perfect time to spray if we don't have wind. And the weed-free zone is very, very quick, and so your time between you apply to when it rains, as little as 15 to 20, 30 minutes, and it's like it's rain fast. Yeah, especially if you put just a little bit of surfactant in there, it'll make it absorb it quicker. I've actually finished up spraying and was cleaning my tank, and then it just started to rain, like pour like crazy, and it was like 5 minutes. I just finished spraying, and it still worked on everything. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very effective.
All right. The second question, I have a garden spot that we're not using, but the weeds are.
Yes.
To a great extent. What I want to do is get the weeds killed off and then plant something out there that I don't have to mow, because I don't want any more mowing ground.
Sure.
What I've thought of planting wildflowers, or I just don't know what to plant out there. Any ideas?
Great question. There are some beautiful wildflowers you could put out there, and if it used to be a garden spot, that would be great because it would attract a lot of bees and other pollinators and butterflies and stuff. And I have a pollinator mix, which is like our hummingbird and butterfly mix, and the bees happen to love it as well too, and that would be great. That would be awesome, in fact. So what I would recommend you do is probably spray with something like the Decimate from Fertilome or the Kills-All from High Yield, kill off all those weeds, and then just till it lightly, and then seed it this fall. And if you seed this fall, like late in like October or early November, then those seeds will sit there all winter and they'll come up first thing next spring. And if we've killed off all the weeds and tilled that and kind of worked those into the soil, then you won't have nearly as much competition on the weeds as well as the flowers. So our hummingbird mix would be great. I'd probably recommend you throw some extra annuals in there, because the annuals will flower the first year, and so they'll come up next year, they'll flower next year. But if it's a 50-50 annual and perennial mix, the perennials won't bloom until the next year. So it's really the second year from when you plant them that they really start to kick in, and the third year they look amazing. So the first year we say, okay, seed them this fall. Next year, seed them again a little bit in the fall, just to kind of supplement what the seeds are dropping from the plants that you've already got going. And then the next year they'll be much better, and then the third year they'll look amazing.
Okay, what kind of watering would that take?
You know, most of those wildflowers are fairly drought tolerant, so if you could water once every 10 days to 2 weeks, they would be pretty happy all summer long. Yeah,
all right.
For sure.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, bye, Catherine.
That opens up a phone line at 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. Just before we hit the bottom of the hour news break, let's go out to Tammy, who's joining us on the line from Smithfield. Tammy, thanks for holding. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, how are you, Tammy?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
So me and my daughter both have some goji berries, but hers has developed, she says it looks like chicken pox, and she Googled it, and it says they're gall mites.
Yep, probably gall. And it does look like chicken pox on the plants.
Okay,
you get these little bumps. Yeah, you get these bumps that show up on the leaves, and yes. So it's really kind of cosmetic damage. It's not really going to damage the plant structurally. And since you're probably harvesting or soon to be harvesting the goji berries, we don't want to use an insecticide on there that's going to be problematic for those. And
yeah, right.
Yeah, and so I probably would just say just kind of deal with it for right now. The leaves will fall off. You'll get all brand new leaves next year, and they'll be fine. We can do something to prevent next year that would be safe. But at this point, I wouldn't use like a systemic on it because it's going to end up in the fruit. And so, just kind of deal with it for this year. It should
tolerate it.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Yeah, and again, like I said, it's not going to structurally damage the plant, especially if they've gotten fairly well established and are growing.
Okay, and that's good to know.
Yeah, and then you'll get all brand new leaves next year, and you won't even know that you've had gall this year, so they'll be fine.
So what causes that?
It's an insect that gets into your plants, and they must like goji berries, and so they kind of get underneath the leaf, like the layer of the leaf, and into the leaf, and then they kind of create this growth around them that kind of looks like these pock marks on the leaves.
So if she was to put a systemic on it, at what time would she do that? What point of...
You would have to do it early enough that it's going to be gone by the time they're fruiting. And so probably even next year I wouldn't recommend we do a systemic, but we'll do a contact insecticide at the right time to prevent them from getting into the leaves in the first place. And then you don't have to worry about using a systemic on them. So probably first part of June is when we want to go for it next year. So there's a couple of different there's a couple of different things we could use. If you want to go organic, we could do spinosad soap would be excellent. Very, very effective on the mites, and it will get the gall before they get going. So
spinosad soap.
Yep, the spinosad soap. Or you could do like
early June.
Yeah, I could do like malathion or 7 or the sayonara. Any of those that are safe to use on the edibles would be great.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mike. Mark.
You're welcome.
I will let her know.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you, and you have a good day.
You too. Thanks for calling this morning, Tammy.
All right, well, that takes us to the bottom of the hour. Coming up after the break, we want to take more of your calls, so phone lines are open, 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868. We want to talk a little bit about the Pumpkin Festival.
Pumpkin Festival
It'll be coming up a month from now.
Yeah.
We'll get into that, give you some of the details, because it's definitely something you want to have on the calendar. We'll talk a little bit more about the cash sale that's going on right now at Anderson's.
And bulbs are coming in soon.
Oh,
yeah.
And bulbs are
garlic
starting to show up.
We'll probably have garlic at the end of next week. So yeah, lots of things that are pre-fall type items.
Yes, because we're not going to say winter yet.
No, not even fall. I don't want to talk fall yet. It's still summer, but this is like pre-fall stuff. So yeah, it'll be good.
Stay with us. More of your calls coming up next on the Garden Guide here on KVNU.
Bill Walter, KVNU News. Beginning this past Wednesday, law enforcement agencies started participating in the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over national enforcement mobilization looking for impaired motorists. Drivers can expect an increase in DUI enforcement through September 4th as 25 different Utah law enforcement agencies statewide work over 180 extra DUI shifts. The Department of Public Safety, DPS, is urging Utahns to drive sober, especially during the busy Labor Day holiday weekend. In 2022, there were 10,413 DUI arrests in Utah, an average of 28.5 arrests per day. So far in 2023, there have been 573 alcohol or drug-related crashes and 51 alcohol and or drug-related fatalities on Utah roads. Male drivers ages 21 to 29 have the highest number of alcohol and drug-impaired crashes and arrests. In Region 11 football from Friday night, Logan won big in their home opener over North Sanpete, 47-3. It was Ridgeline in Millville edging Riverton, 25-21. Green Canyon won on the road at Stansbury, 23-8. Morgan won big over Bear River, 59-24. Box Elder edged Mountain Crest, 21-20, and it was Skyview 56, Wasatch 35. Few showers and thunderstorms in the forecast Saturday, upper 80s, 40% chance Saturday night into Sunday of some storms. High temperature on Sunday in the mid 80s. For the latest news, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
From ABC Sports, I'm Mark Remillard. The Dodgers were winners of 11 straight before the Marlins came to town. Miami would hit a season-high 5 homers in the game, 2 coming from Jorge Soler.
And the next pitch, swung on, hit high and deep. Left field, forget about it. Soler deep to the back of the bleachers in left center field. Holy cow!
WINZ on the call, 11-3. Marlins the final score. An interleague matchup of division leaders, the Brewers at the Rangers, down 3-4 in the 7th inning. Carlos Santana would put the Brew Crew back on top.
2-2. Santana hits one in the air, deep right. Garcia back at the track, gone! Carlos Santana, a 3-run shot.
The call on WTMJ, that made it 6-4 Brewers. They'd hold off a 9th inning rally by the Rangers to win it 9-8. This is ABC Sports.
This is Cache County Fire Chief Rod Hammer. Due to current and forecasted weather conditions coupled with extremely dry vegetation, the state forester, in consultation with fire officials, has determined that measures must be taken to prevent the ignition of forest and rangeland fires. Therefore, the following acts are prohibited in unincorporated Cache County and on state lands. 1. There are no open fires of any kind except within established public facilities, in improved campgrounds, picnic areas, or in permanently constructed fire pits at private homes where running water is present. There is no smoking allowed except within an enclosed vehicle, trailer, or building, a developed recreation site, or while stopped in an area that is paved or free from dry vegetation. No discharging or using any fireworks, tracer ammunition, or other pyrotechnic devices, including exploding targets. No cutting, welding, or grinding metal in areas of dry vegetation. No operating a motorcycle, chainsaw, ATV, or any other small internal combustion engine without an approved and working spark arrestor. The Cache County Fire District and the firefighters in Cache County appreciate your help.
The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
And welcome back to the Garden Guide at 8:35 now on this Saturday morning. We'll feel right along with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden. Looking for your calls this morning. We've been talking about lawns. We've been talking about how to green them up, take down the weeds, talking about diseases in your garden. Also talking about chicken pox. That's a new one that I had not heard of.
Plant chicken pox, yeah. There's a whole bunch of different gall that are out there, and some just kind of like damage the leaves a little bit. Others make these kind of like really funky growths that look like little pods that pop up on the plants, and it does kind of look like chicken pox a little bit. So. And not all plants get them. I mean, some plants are more susceptible to it. Like the gall that gets into spruce trees, it makes the tips, like the new growth, kind of die back and they look like pine cones.
Oh, okay.
So you get the kind of pink looking pine cones on the end of your blue spruce. But then there's also gall that get into like locust, and the locust gall will deform the leaves to where they're not flat. They're more rounded. And so they look like a seed pod instead of like a leaf, and they'll turn kind of pinkish color as well too, pinkish or red. But then there's all kinds of other gall that affect other. So it just depends on the plant.
Okay.
So I did not know that goji berries had gall though, so that was kind of a new one. But
could hit them.
Yeah, for sure. And there's not like tons of goji berries around here like raspberries. There's a lot of people that grow raspberries, but there's some interesting insects out there for sure. Some very
there's always something new.
Yeah, some very interesting insects.
Well, and if you have something for the Garden Guide this morning, and we're looking for your calls, 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868. Call in with your questions, your comments. We want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on at Anderson Seed and Garden over the next couple of weeks, because we want to make sure you have your calendar marked for the Pumpkin Festival. This is going to be the first of its kind, and we hope it's going to be turning into an annual event, because it's just going to be a lot of fun, shutting down Center Street and just having a street festival on September 23rd.
Yep, September 23rd, and we've got the Giant Pumpkin Growers of Northern Utah are going to do their way off on Center Street. And so last year they brought in about 20 to 25 pumpkins that were in the 500 to, I think the biggest one last year was like 1,800, maybe a little bit bigger than that. And so we'll have some really, really big pumpkins to check out. So we'll have kind of our own little pumpkin walk where you can just go in through and check out the big pumpkins and vote for your favorite out of all of them. So we're going to have kind of a people's choice as well, too. They'll do the weigh off, and not only will they be weighing the giant pumpkins, but they'll be weighing some different vegetables as well, too. So there's a category for the biggest tomato, there's a category for the biggest watermelon, and the largest gourd, and the biggest traditional pumpkin as well, too. So there's a lot of other categories will be going on, but we'll have like you said, a street festival going on. There'll be some artists doing street art. There will be a free movie at the Utah Theater. We'll have a whole bunch of different kids activities, food trucks, and vendors that will be selling things while we're there. The city will be doing the ribbon cutting for the plaza as well, too. So the plaza will be all done downtown there, and there'll be some live music at the plaza. We'll have music after the Pumpkin Festival as well, too. So there'll be a lot of great things going on from basically 11 o'clock in the morning till about 7 o'clock at night. So it'll be a really fun activity to come down. Very family-friendly, and a lot of great things happening at the Pumpkin Festival.
Okay, so September 23rd.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit coming up in just a minute about some of the things that are going on at Anderson Seed and Garden this weekend. But let's go back out to the phone lines. We have Janet joining us on the line from Franklin. Janet, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you guys today?
Doing great this morning, Jenna. How about you?
Awesome. Well, okay. Hey, I'm out in my squash because I'm finally, with this weather, spraying for powdery mildew.
Good.
Yeah, because it's going to happen. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of that yet, but I have more of my spray left, and I'm looking at my tomatoes. And since I'm in my garden, I'm too lazy to go in the house and research this. So, do you spray that on tomatoes? Is it okay for tomatoes? I've only done powdery mildew on my melons and my squash.
Yes.
So, is there anything else I can use this on?
Which fungicide are you using?
Oh, shoot, it's the new one.
The
Fungicide 5?
Yeah. So the Fungicide 5 is a natural bacteria. It's a good bacteria instead of a bad bacteria, so it attacks fungal and bacterial diseases in the soil and also on the plants. I used it on my tomatoes last week because with this humidity, they're very, very likely to pick up either a little bit of early or late blight. They could pick up some bacterial speck. Could even see mildew showing up on those as well, too. So absolutely, go ahead and spray those. That will work great.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what about, I noticed that I hit a cucumber, it got on the fruit. So
just
is there any...
if you're going to peel it and eat it, no problem. Otherwise, if you're going to eat the skin, just rinse it off. It is non-toxic to people. It's all natural, organic bacteria and very, very safe for consumption. It doesn't taste great, but it will not hurt you in the slightest. So I always make sure and rinse them off. Yeah.
Okay, and then I guess would it benefit my peppers at all?
If your peppers are prone to getting any types of diseases, it will control them before they show up. So if you're using the Fungicide 5 and you use it right now and then maybe again in 2 weeks, you really won't see any mildew showing up on your plants until maybe October because it will prevent it from developing on the plants in the first place. So it doesn't just cure it. It will cure and prevent as well too. So it's a excellent option for getting those diseases under control. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I bought it.
Yeah, really great stuff. And it goes so far, too. You buy that little pint bottle, and it makes 100 gallons, so it goes forever. So it's
instead of a teaspoon instead of a tablespoon. And I'm just I'm all right.
Yeah, it's a great value, and it's very, very safe and one of the most effective fungicides I have ever used. So awesome stuff.
Oh, fabulous. Well, I'm excited to use it then. And then just one more comment. This isn't garden related necessarily, but you should encourage all those large pumpkin growers to bring their pumpkins to the pumpkin walk. We would be more than happy to display them.
I'm sure. What we have found is most of those giant pumpkin growers, they will take their pumpkins to Texas or to California and they'll sell them, and they get big money for them. And so it's kind of hard. So occasionally we'll get one to drop off at the store so we can have it out there for a week or so before they'll take it somewhere.
Right,
but they've got corporations that'll spend money for them so they can drop them from tall buildings or blow them up or whatever, So it's crazy how much money people throw out there for them. I know. It would be awesome to have a row of those giant pumpkins at the pumpkin walk as well too.
Yeah, I was really into so that people would know about it. But that's okay. All right. Yep. Well, thank you so much. You answered all my questions.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, Janet.
All right.
Good day.
You too.
A couple other callers holding on the line, and so we'll go right back out to the phone lines. Todd's joining us on the line from Logan. Todd, welcome to the show.
I hear it's a special day for you, Mark. So
it is. It is today.
Yeah, but we won't mention what it is. So I just wanted to say, have a special day today.
Thanks, Todd.
I just wanted to give you a testimonial about the Eden grass.
Oh, yes. You planted just 2 weeks ago?
I planted it 2 weeks ago Wednesday, and I could not believe what my eyes beheld because I saw little sprouts coming up, and then I saw little more sprouts coming up, and I could hardly tell the difference because it blended in with my existing lawn very well.
Awesome. That is awesome. You sent me photos, and I looked down. And it's like, ooh, yeah, his grass is coming up way nice.
But now I think I can mow it now, right?
You can absolutely mow it if it's tall enough to mow. Go for it, because that particular variety of bluegrass is very aggressive, and it will spread. So once you start to mow it, it will spread horizontally. It'll fill in a lot faster.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say thanks for the idea.
The recommendation. Yeah. Well, we've never done the Eden before, and then talking with Doug from Agronotech Seed, he's like, hey, this is the most aggressive grass to grow horizontally, and it's super, super drought tolerant, and it's very similar to the blend that they're offering down in Salt Lake for high drought tolerance. So it's got a dwarf turf type tall fescue in it that doesn't grow really tall, and it's a thinner blade, so it's not as coarse as some of the other tall fescues. And then it's got this very aggressive bluegrass in there that is also super drought tolerant. And so you've got a grass you could probably get away with watering once a week, and it would be happy all summer long. So
yeah, so I'm in the planning stage. Plan 1 is done. Now I have to do plan 2 and 3.
That is awesome.
And plan 2 is right by our backyard, which is a high traffic area. So hopefully it gets established quick, so we can get some stuff.
And this is a grass. This is a grass that's supposed to be really good for the high traffic areas, because if you get a little bit of damage in there, it'll just fill right back in. So
well, that's good to hear.
Yeah,
that's good to hear. But I wanted to say the Eden grass is good and all that stuff. I didn't make it for compost tea a lot this year. I apologize.
That's all right. I
was being very generous to give it to other customers. So.
That sounds great, Todd.
And I had another question. I have spurge and parsley in my garden.
Okay.
Again, in my box gardens.
Yes.
So what I've done is I've weeded those, and should I just put the pre-emergent in now still?
You sure can. So pre-emergent is going to last for the next couple months, and so you can do either the Treflan in the granule form or in the liquid form, and it will stop new seeds from coming out. It's very, very effective on the purslane, and so great for purslane. The only thing I wouldn't use it around would be corn, and it's kind of hard on squashes and cucumbers. And melons, so kind of be a little careful around those. But the corn, for sure, it can damage your corn, so don't use it in my corn. I don't use it in my corn, and I've got just layers of purslane in there, so I've had to go through and weed that. I've tilled it and hoed it and tilled it, and it's still just coming back every time it rains. So.
Well, I'm surprised you're not singing a Christmas song as you're ho ho hoing.
I know. It's like ho ho ho. Well, we do have 2 trees that we have decorated at the store already. I have to admit.
Oh, boy.
But they're fall. Fall trees. Yeah, they're fall trees, Todd. So one's like right in front of the store, right by my window where my office is, and it's got pumpkins all over it, and it's got like really rich dark colors. It's amazing. So.
Okay, I'll take that last comment. All right. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, Todd.
Yep. Have a good weekend.
You're welcome. You have a good day.
See ya.
We have Joan joining us on the line from Millville. An, welcome to the Garden Guide on this Saturday morning.
Hi.
Hey, Joan.
Thank you very much. I've got a couple quick questions. We have an elderberry, and I didn't realize you had to have 2 varieties to have them produce. How do I know what I have?
I
don't have my tag on it.
That is a great question. It's going to be very difficult. So the best thing to do would be to just get another variety and see what happens. It could potentially be the same variety, but if we shoot. You got a 50-50 chance.
It might be
something
get
else.
2 varieties.
Or if you got 2 varieties, then you would definitely have something to pollinate.
Okay.
Yeah, but
right.
If you've got a neighbor that's got one,
do they need to be?
Oh, as far as bee flies, so if you've got a neighbor that's got one, you should be great. Like my dad has hazelnut, and it has to have another pollinator. And as far as I know, there's not another one within 2 or 3 houses of ours, but it gets pollinated every year. So somebody has got hazelnut somewhere,
and those bees are
and the bees
taking
get
care
that
of it.
moved around. Yeah, so we have hazelnuts every year. In fact, I've been eating some that we harvested last year. They're so delicious. So yeah.
Okay.
All right.
The other question, I have a bare root peach that I got this spring, and it's doing really well, but it's got kind of yellow leaves all of a sudden. And we have another one that's probably 30 feet away, and it looks great.
Yeah. Could be an iron deficiency. So iron deficiency, the leaves will start to pale. You'll get dark green veins showing in it. If it's newly planted, it could be getting possibly too much water also. So double check the soil, make sure it's not staying too soggy. So with those newly planted trees, I try not to water too frequently. And in most cases, I only need to water about every 3 to 5 days, even in the hottest, driest part of the summer, because the soil is retaining the moisture really well. So if you dug your hole really wide and put some soil amendment in there with it, I will dig down every 3 or 4 days, dig down 3 inches. And if it's moist down 3 inches, I'll let it go another day or 2 before I water. And even then, I'll check it again to make sure it's dried out, because if that soil doesn't dry out and it kind of puddles water down on the bottom, you could have some leaves that would be turning yellow as well too. So could be either.
Okay.
It could be either of those.
Yeah, the whole tree is just not bright green like it
was. Yeah, like it was.
Yeah.
So it could be an iron.
But,
It could be
okay.
an iron issue. It could be too much water. We've had just really unusual growing conditions this year, with it being so cold and wet to start off the season, and then it was really hot and dry in July, and then we've kind of had a lot of rain again. So, I mean, there's been a couple weeks, like sets of 2 weeks at a time, where I just basically turned my sprinklers off this year, because it just was raining so much. I just didn't even need to run them, and so it's been a different growing season for sure.
Right. One other thing, our lawn in the back has got a lot of yellowing areas. We put on a step program a couple weeks ago, and it didn't seem to make much difference. There's still a lot of yellow in the grass.
Yeah. We have seen some disease. We've seen some insect damage. Could be either of those. Also iron. Like, we've been doing a high iron on our lawn, and it's really, really greened it up. So the Back to Green product that we offer from it's local. It's like made down in Layton. It's got a high dose of iron. It's got a soil penetrant to help the moisture get absorbed and retain the moisture there in the soil for the grass. So that's been a really great option to really green the lawns up when you don't necessarily need more fertilizer. Like, if you're mowing a lot already, we don't need to throw a lot more fertilizer on. But a high iron product like that with the soil penetrant would really make a big difference. Like, in a week, you would see a huge difference on your grass. So that would be worth.
All right.
That would be
Well,
worth
thank you
giving a
so
shot.
much.
You're welcome. Anytime, Joan.
All right.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That opens up the phone lines at 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. A caller called in earlier and wasn't able to hold on the line, but they wanted us to bring up cornworms again. We talked a little bit about treating corn earlier in the show, but we're starting to see there were some moths flying around our corn last 2 nights ago when I was out weeding, and this is the time to decide whether or not you're going to treat that corn, and that's the hard part.
As soon as the silks start to show up, that's when the moths will come in and lay their eggs right on the silks, and then those eggs will hatch out, and the larva of the corn earworm will follow those silks down into the corn. So it'll go right from the silk right down into the ear of the corn and then start munching away. And they'll damage the corn in there. And so even if your bees are out having a heyday like they are at my corn patch, we can use some products like Spinosad and the Spinosad soap. Those would be very, very effective to spray the silks of the corn with, and it won't affect your bees. because the bees aren't going to be landing on the silks; they're landing on the tassels. So they're in the tassels picking up all that pollen, and so that would be very, very effective and non-toxic to your bees as well too. And I do it in the evening when the bees have kind of already gone home, and so then they're much less likely to pick it up and carry it back to the nest.
To the hive.
Which could kill the larva in the hive. So the spinosad won't hurt the adults of pretty much any insects, but it kills the larval stages. So caterpillars. So you can spray it. It won't kill the moths, but it'll kill the larvae. So it'll kill the caterpillars. And same thing with your bees. It won't hurt the adult bees, but if they get it into the hive, it could kill the larva as the larvae are developing and turning into bees. So you have to be really careful that way.
Now, if you're already harvesting corn and you're getting the corn worm, once those worms have already started to buffet
once
on
they're
your corn,
in there,
you're stuck.
it's too late. Yeah, this is preventative, so you've got to do it preventatively. If you wanted to use a traditional insecticide, you could use permethrin, or you could use the 7 or the Sayonara. Any of those would be great as well too. But if you want to stick with the organic, natural one, the spinosad or the spinosad soap would be awesome. They would do a really good job.
And I guess with an insecticide, if you were to go out early in the morning, late in the day, before or after bees are going to come in, and just spray down low, stay away from the tassels, stay away from the pollen. At least you could try to fight it that way,
right? Because the bees aren't going to land on the tassels; they're just or on the silks of the ears.
They're going after the
just
pollen.
going to land on the tassels. Yeah, that's where they're going to get all the pollen. And so, if you stay low, and most of those ears are set about 18 to 24 inches off the ground, you could spray down in through there, and then it won't
hurt your pollinators.
Bees. Yeah, it won't affect your bees. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have Gordon joining us on the line from Amalga. Gordon, welcome to the show. Thanks for holding this morning.
Good morning. I'm actually from Newton, but
Newton, yes. Got to make sure you clarify that. That's true.
Right. We're talking about the right Gordon, so
rootin' tootin' Newton.
Newton.
Mark, my apple trees are absolutely loaded this year, and I think I'm going to have to pick some so I don't break some branches.
Yes.
Is there like a pattern? Is there something you look for? Do you? How do you decide what comes off, what stays on, other than that one looks bigger than the other one? Is there something I should kind of watch for?
That is a great question. So you really want one fruit every 6 to 8 inches. And so if you have clusters of fruit, pick the best one and take the other ones off. If you've got, I would always go for larger, better-looking fruit than, smaller, anything that's like been deformed or, damaged. Sometimes you get bee damage. Sometimes you get wind or whatever. But try and pick the best ones and pick the other ones off.
Okay, and I thought, I'll look and see if there's anything that's got, wormholes in it. But weirdly enough, I didn't get my spinosad sprayed this year. I'm so far behind on my lawn stuff, but I've put the cedar granules down all over my backyard, all over under by my apple trees and stuff, and that seems to help discourage the codling moth.
It makes a difference. It really does. Yeah. So if you've been going after mosquitoes, you get the side benefit of it's like keeping your codling moth away as well too. So.
Yep. So I'm not seeing very much in terms of that. So so 6 to 8 inches, and pick the big ones, and try to make it so you don't have big clusters.
Yep, and any that have damage on them, get rid of those first.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, we'll start doing.
Yes, it sounds like a lot of work to me, and I've got the same situation where we've got a couple of trees that are just absolutely loaded. Unfortunately, out of all my peach trees, my donut peach has like 2 peaches on it. We looked at them. We looked at them yesterday. It's just like there's 2 peaches on there. They're going to be ready here pretty soon, so I got to keep an eye on them. But apples and pears loaded, stone fruits nothing. Yep. Zippo.
We're gonna do apple cider again this year. We didn't get any last year, but this year we're gonna be
doing cider. Good. Glad to hear it, Gordon.
Okay. Better let's go. You're about out of time, so thanks. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for the call, Gordon.
Have a good one.
Thanks to all of our callers. We've got only about 2 minutes left, and we didn't get a chance to talk about what's going on this weekend at Anderson Seed and Garden because we have the cash sale.
Cash sale is going on right now. So our remaining shade trees and flowering trees, our shrubs, our flowering shrubs, evergreens, vines, they are all on sale for 25% off. But if you pay with cash, the good old-fashioned cash, you can get an extra 10%. So it'll give you 35% off on our remaining plants. And we've got a really great selection of good-looking plants. Just got some new ones in stock this week, and it's a good time to get out there and do some planting with the cooler temperature. So to come in and take advantage of our cash sale. This is our last weekend also for Compost Tea. So today we're gonna run out today for sure. That's like I stopped in, looked this morning, got a little bit of concentrate left. So we'll be making a little bit more Compost Tea today. But once we run out, it's gone for this year. Yeah, so this is probably the last day for Compost Tea. And Pumpkin Festival is coming up the 23rd of September, so it's 5 weeks away.
And as we were mentioning just briefly, bulbs are starting to come in.
Bulbs, yeah. Garlic should be showing up this week, so we should have some garlic. And tulips, daffodils, hyacinths, they won't be till after Labor Day, so they're more like Labor Day. But those fall bulbs are starting to come.
All right.
So it's coming.
Well, Mark, hope you have a great day.
You too. Thank you, Will.
Thanks so much for joining us on The Garden Guide, and we hope you join us again next week here on KVNU as it's now 9 o'clock.
Your station for the Aggies. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM, 610 AM, and on Alexa, Google, online, or the app.